What's up, internet friends, and welcome to yet another episode of the Isn't It Crazy podcast. I think it's episode 48 now. And, I'm trying to get to 50. It's like a mini milestone that I want to get to. So I want to say thank you guys for all the support you guys have been giving me. And also, like every other episode, I start by giving a shout out to the companies that have been there from day one, supporting me step by step. And one of those companies is called All Things AMARE. It's a crafting company started by Jazz and Campos. And you guys could go there to personalize anything that you have around your room. Maybe it's a cold cup, a t shirt, a phone case, whatever you can put vinyl on, she can do it. Or maybe you want to give somebody a gift. I'm telling you guys, taking the time to personalize something and giving it as a gift takes you way further than just going to the store and buying something, because it lets the person know that you took the time and you put some thought into what you were about to give them. So I will put the link in the description down below. Go check out her Etsy page and get your orders in now. Another company that has been there is Plantitas LLC. And she was a guest on the podcast and she brought me a live plant. And I've been trying my best to keep it alive. I think I might have overwatered it, but I'm making sure it gets water and sun. It's that easy. And it changes the vibe of the room. As a guy, my room is completely black. The walls are black, the chairs are black. Most of it looks like a guy's room. So when you put a plant there, it changes the vibe of the room. It says I'm putting some type of effort in there. So if you want to decorate your rooms with something green, the link will be in the description down below. Go check her out. She's got reasonable prices. You could get a plastic plant, or if you think you're responsible enough, you could get a live plant. Either way, you're getting great products. So get your orders in and just remember to always support your small businesses. Now, last but not least, there's a great podcast out now called In the Air Tonight, hosted by Dontrell. And what can I say about the podcast? It's a funny podcast, unscripted. The guests are great. After you guys are done listening here, go check him out. I love seeing somebody that's so passionate about what they're doing go out there every single episode and give it his all. And that is exactly what he's doing. So shout out to him. Go check him out afterwards. You will not be disappointed. But today, I want to talk about Immigration Nation. And I know I've been talking about immigration a lot. I thought I was done talking about immigration. I told you guys my backstory of how I got to this country. Then I talked about the kids in the cages that ICE had. I thought I said my piece and my opinion on the state of the immigration in the United States. But this documentary came out on Netflix called Immigration Nation. And the things I learned there, some of it made me mad. Some of it made me like scared because it hits home, and obviously it makes me sad because you're looking at these people who are trying just to get a better life, and the hurdles that the Trump administration has put in front of them, not only separating families. Sometimes you learn things that you didn't even think were possible. One of the craziest things I learned in that documentary was that there's certain immigrants that come to this country and they serve our country. They go, they say, you know what? It's not even my country, but I want to live here so bad. I'm willing to protect you guys. So I will fight for you guys. I will join the army and I will go on the front lines and protect you guys from evil. And when they're done, they did it with the promise that if they did put their lives in harm's way, they were going to be able to stay in this country. And maybe it's not even the Trump administration, maybe it goes back to the Obama administration, but regardless, they're sending these veterans, they're deporting them afterwards. Yeah, one of the most selfless things you could do is put your life in harm's way to protect others. And the very least that you can do is allow these guys to stay in the country, but they're deporting them back to their countries. It's like saying, "Yeah, well, thank you for helping us, but at the end of the day, we don't really care, so we're gonna send you back home anyways." They're called the deported veterans, and it sucks because these guys are they're not these rapists, they're not these criminals, they're not, they did something with the promise that maybe they could stay here, and for this country to turn their back on them and say, "Oh well, you're not you're not part of us," is the shittiest thing. It just made me so angry. And then you just see like the other tactics that the US government is taking to trick these immigrants into thinking they have a chance at staying here when the whole time they're not going to let them stay. They're just going to deport them anyways. So sometimes what happens when an immigrant comes into this country is that there's not enough room to keep them all in a holding station. So what they do is they put ankle bracelets, like GPS tracking bracelets, on their feet, and they let them go. And there's rules to that. They say, "Hey, we get that there's a reason why you wanted to come to this country, and you will get your say in court in immigration court, right?" So what they keep saying is that you have to comply with the law, which means that if you get one of those ankle bracelets, you have to keep coming back to the ICE office to check in. And then they review your thing and they say, like, "We're ready for you to give you, like, are you going to stay or are you going to go?" But most of the time, it takes years for these people to get a decision whether they can stay or go. So the whole time, these people make roots in this country. They have families, and they get a job, and they buy a house, and all that could be taken away in a moment's notice. And most of the time, that's the case. There's a lot of people that may not have another choice but to come to this country because their country is so shitty. So they come here, they comply with all the rules, and at the end of the day, they still get fucked. And that really sucks. There's a guy there. He was a policeman for the Salvadorian police force or the army, and gangs were threatening his life because he wouldn't do what they wanted to do. So his last resort was to bring his whole family to the United States, and they put one of those bracelets on his ankle, and they told him, "You must comply with the law." So what did homeboy do? Exactly what they told him to do. He checked in at the ICE office every time they needed him to come in. They kept telling him, "Hey, like, there's still no decision on whether you could stay or go." So he was on immigration limbo for years. He got his driver's license, he got a job, he paid taxes on that job, he bought a house. I'm sure he paid property taxes on that house. And one day he showed up and they told him they were going to arrest him because his final order was to get deported. And you're sitting there thinking, like, damn, they just fucked this guy. His whole life gets, his whole family stays here. They get left behind, and he has to go back to this country where gangs want to kill him. It doesn't matter how long you leave, those motherfuckers remember. And now this guy's life is in danger again. And you're like, why go through this whole thing? Why tell them to come in, tell them to be a law abiding citizen, and then fuck them at the end, anyways? Why do that to somebody? And then this, like, correctional, like, this deportation officer tells you why. They say that they dangle this carrot in front of the immigrants so they keep coming back, so they could keep tracking them because they don't have enough space in these facilities to hold them all. So one of the things they do is they let them go. But they're tracking him the whole time, and they tell him, like, "Hey, you might have a chance to stay here, but you have to comply." But the whole time they're just saying that so they keep tracking you, and they don't let you out. And you, for some reason, you're like, "That's not gonna. No, I'd rather just fucking not comply and just go off the grid, and they'll never find me again." But most of them think they're gonna get residency here, so they keep coming back. And one day, if it's their time's up, their time's up. They were never gonna stay regardless. And I think that is so wrong. I think, these guys are saying like, "Hey, like I'm not the one that makes the decision. A judge makes that decision." And then the judges say that they have quotas on how many people they have to deport. They have this little thing in front of their computer that's telling them, "You haven't deported enough people. You better step up your game. Your numbers got to go higher." And this whole system was created by somebody in Trump's administration. They are so trigger happy on deportation. They don't care if you're a non-crim, which means that you haven't even committed a crime here. They just need a reason to deport you, and they'll find anything from a speeding ticket to just flat out saying like, "Hey, we just don't want you here, so you're gonna get the fuck out right now." They don't care if these people have families or jobs or anything, and I think that's super wrong. So next time, it's an election year. Next time you vote for Trump, think about what you're doing. You're not just voting for Trump so he can drain the swamp, like he says, or help you get less taxes if you have a lot of money. You're voting for people to get separated. You're voting for people's lives to get ruined because this administration doesn't care whether somebody is being threatened, their life's being threatened in another country. So next time you're in a voting booth, make sure you think about that. Make sure you think about the people that you're going to fuck if you literally vote for this administration that's so trigger happy on deporting people that they don't care about anybody's lives, that they'll deport veterans that have fought for this country. Because at the end of the day, they promised another group that they were going to deport as many as they can, and they are just gun ho on that promise right now. The wall thing didn't work, so now they're just trying to push as many people over the border as they can, and it's ruining lives. And you're separating kids from their parents, and at the end of the day, a lot of these people aren't getting a fair share. These people are the lifeblood of the economy. As much as you don't want to believe it, some of these people do the jobs you don't want to do for cheap labor. They work in these fields and break their back, waking up at 4 in the morning and having to go to school and then coming back in the afternoon and breaking their back again at 14 years old. Those are the kids that are making sure that America gets fed. Those are the immigrants making sure that once this COVID thing hit, s- grocery stores didn't go empty handed. These are the people keeping the social structure, and yet you want to deport them and use shitty tactics like promising, dangling a carrot in front of their face, promising that maybe they could stay, knowing damn well you're not going to allow them to stay regardless. That made me angry. That made me want to talk about this. I'm not saying just let everybody in. There's bad people. There is bad people. There's bad people here there's immigrants that come from over there that want to do bad shit. But there just has to be a better filtration system. Somebody that can judge an immigrant that wants to change his family's life, or an immigrant that's looking for asylum, or an immigrant that's country is just so shitty that they had no other option to come here, and make sure they stay, and then filter out the guys that came here to do bad. Do they have a criminal record? Like, do they have families? Maybe don't let those guys in. I don't know what to tell you. But there's got to be a better way to filter the bad people and keep the good, because those good people are the ones that make America great. It's not again. They make America great every single day. And not just putting food in your plate. It's doing the jobs you don't want to do. These are the people that clean and cut lawns, and they do the odd jobs that a lot of proud Americans won't take because it's not going to be able to feed their family, but to them it's enough. To them they make it work. My mom worked 2 jobs when we were kids, and she made it work. Some people are too proud. I never got that whole thing like they're taking our jobs. Jobs you didn't want. Those jobs are there. You can do them. They're always hiring. Are you willing to break your back? Are you willing to make less than fucking normal wages? Less than the minimum wage? Are you willing to let people humiliate you because they know they have power over you and they could send you home whenever they want? No, you're not. Most Americans don't want to do that. Yet they say they're taking our jobs. I'm taking your fucking jobs. No, it's fucked up. But you guys should check out the show. You learn a lot. You learn about the shitty tactics that the Trump administration is doing. And at the end of the day, maybe it motivates you to go and vote and change. Because that's the only way we're going to be able to do this. By getting people that have a say so and can vote, change the way immigration reform is done in this country. So people don't get honey dicked into thinking they're going to stay here when they are really not. So that the veterans that put their lives on the line for us can stay as a reward for the courage that they showed and the sacrifice that they made. So they're not scared that they're going to get pulled over and get a speeding ticket and get sent to a country where they might be killed, or a country where the country doesn't even have enough money to feed their population. That's how we change that. That's how we help these people. So yeah, that's what I watched this weekend, and I don't know, it just watching these people breaks my heart, and it motivates me to keep talking about it. You know, I thought I was done talking about immigration, but that just made my brain like ideas were popping in my head. I'm like, you have to talk about this. You have to let people know about this show. You have to make people aware of what the Trump administration is doing to these immigrants. So go check it out. Tell your friends to check it out. The more people you get behind this cause, the better chance we get at helping these immigrants live a healthier, happier, more prosperous life. But other than that, this weekend I watched The Tax Collector. And what can I say, man? It was directed by David Ayers. And the last time David Ayers, if you guys don't know who he is, go watch Training Day. Go watch The End of Watch. Go watch. I forgot the fucking last one, but Homeboys made a lot of good fucking movies. And once I heard about Tax Collector months before it even came out on a podcast that one of the hosts was playing a small role, and it just sounded really cool. One, because it's about gangs in LA and how they collect their money, and two, because Shia LaBeouf was in there. And if I know Shia LaBeouf, you know, I recently watched Peanut Butter Falcon. You got Honey Boy, any Transformers. The dude just knows how to fucking act. One of my favorite Shia LaBeouf movies isn't even all that mainstream shit. It's called The Greatest Game Ever Played, and he plays a golfer. And I don't know why I fucking love that movie, but Taxpayer's definitely up there. Shia LaBeouf plays like a cholo who's collecting money for the gangs in LA, and pretty much he's the top guy, and the cartels are trying to move into their territory. And you would think like, wow, this movie's how could they make it so realistic? It's because it's happening. That's exactly what's happening in the landscape of the drug and gang land in LA. The gangs ran everything for so long, and then this big player came in known as the cartel, and with unlimited money and very prone to violence, they're going to take over shit like that. So what a great movie. It ties into the times, and it also has I don't know. It's a great story. I don't want to spoil it for you guys. I'm just trying to get the word out there about this movie. And one of the things I heard after watching this movie was that people were getting mad that Shia LaBeouf was playing a Mexican cholo. And I couldn't believe it. Because one, maybe they didn't see the movie, so I didn't know how great he was in there. And two, it's not even about him. It's about another character called, and in real life, his name's Bobby Soto. So he's actually Hispanic. And it kind of, the storyline surrounds him being like the son of the king of the LA gangs. And, the story's about him, and Shia LaBeouf is kind of just the side actor, but I don't know why people tend to get pissed off when it's not, it has to be a Mexican. The only reason this movie's even getting any type of attention is because Shia LaBeouf is in it. So if I had to choose between, I don't know, some Mexican and Shia LaBeouf, I'm gonna choose Shia LaBeouf to play because the motherfucker knows how to act. It's a better movie when people know how to act. So if you think it's wrong that he's not Hispanic and he's playing a cholo, go kick rocks. Because at the end of the day, he makes the movie good, and it is a very good movie. I might watch it twice without my girlfriend because for some reason she fell in love with him. And, I thought it was a great movie. I thought it had a lot of action. There's some funny parts, some hot girls in there. And, it's like kind of like an underdog story. So if you guys have some free time this weekend or whenever you guys are watching this, go check out The Taxpayer. I'm telling you, will not be disappointed at all. Kind of makes me want to go sell drugs. Other than that, this Saturday, I'm excited just because anything to do with the UFC gets me going. Like something about fight week and just learning about who's going to be fighting and what's the story behind it gets me pumped. Like I cannot wait for Saturday. And this Saturday is UFC 252 and it's Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic the third time. And what's rare about this fight is that you don't usually get that rubber match, that third fight. It's very, maybe the two last fights weren't that great, so they never do that third one. Or maybe it just, that third one, they're asking for too much money, so it never gets done. But in this case, they got it done. Each fighter has one fight, so they're one apiece. This is the one that decides it. This one, after this, I know Daniel Cormier is going to retire, and maybe even Stipe is going to retire. But this is for all the marbles. There's no other fight. There's no fourth fight. Both fights ended in spectacular fashion. The first time with Daniel Cormier knocking out Stipe in the first fight, then Stipe coming back and knocking out Daniel in the second fight. So, do I expect somebody to get knocked out this third fight? Yes. And I think Stipe, he's just a better striker than Daniel. If Daniel wants to win this, he's going to have to wrestle him, get him tired, and then try to knock him out. But like every other fight in the UFC, you do not start on the mat. You start with you start standing up. And if you want to take the Khabib route, maybe he could win that way. But I don't think Stipe is gonna be just let him take him down. He's gonna fucking try to rock his shit from the beginning. And I think Stipe is just a better striker than Daniel Cormier is. So, I mean, in the second fight, Stipe Miocic literally dug into Daniel Cormier's left body side. He was just hitting him until he broke him down. His cardio went away. If you want to get rid of somebody's cardio real fast, you go for the body. And it's not instant like a shot to the chin where you knock somebody out. It's like leg kicks, right? You hit somebody in the leg, and little by little, if you keep doing that, you wear them down. So it's kind of like the long play. You're hoping that these strikes will help you out later in the fight when this person can't put their weight on one of their legs, so they have to switch stance, or you punch somebody in the gut so much that their cardio gets reduced drastically. And I think that's Stipe Miocic's game plan. He's going to go for the bodies early to get the cardio down and then knock him out. I would say he's going to knock him out in the third round. And just, I mean, Daniel Cormier is very hittable. I don't know what it is about him. He does this thing where he puts his hands out and then strikes. But if my dumbass catches on to that, I'm sure Stipe Miocic's camp has definitely caught on to that. And there's like a little hesitation. Whenever you know he's there, you could get a couple shots in, and Daniel says he doesn't want to poke Stipe Miocic in the fucking eyes. But every time he does this, he extends his fingers. When he punches, sometimes he pokes him in the eye. And he's done it twice in both fights. And the second fight, he did poke him in the eye. Stipe didn't say anything and just went in for the knockout. But I guarantee you, if Stipe doesn't go in for that knockout, they would have stopped the fight. They would have told Daniel, here's your warning. And who knows how the fight could have gone. But that is just a shitty habit to have. Just I could see Daniel losing some points if he fights like that. But I don't know. It's kind of too close to call. This is Daniel's last hurrah. So he wants to win it at any cost. And when you're talking about a man's heart, it's kind of hard to bet against it. I know he wants to leave the sport with a win. That's how a lot of people want to retire. They retire on top, especially if you get to beat the guy in the rubber match to say like, I beat you twice, you beat me once, so I guess I'm better. So you're gonna see a very motivated, very relentless Daniel Cormier. It's good. It's just gonna make it for a good fight, but I still see Stipe winning the fight regardless, just because he's a better striker. And I think he's gonna attack Stipe's cardio very soon, and it's just gonna wear him down as the rounds go. But we'll see. I'm very excited. Other than that, I know Sugar Shane O'Malley is fighting Vera, and JDS is fighting. Don't remember his name, but I heard JDS is ripped out of his mind. So I can't wait for that one. It's gonna be a good night, and we're gonna go. Me and Ari are gonna go to Rivers Casino and bet the fucking house on there. Actually, no, he's gonna bet a lot. I'm just gonna bet like $100 and spread it out. I might parlay my bets, maybe get better odds and make a bit of money. But if you were gonna say go bet on these fights, I would definitely bet on Stipe Miocic to win this fight, just because of his striking. Um, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. It does get a little serious sometimes. These subjects do hit home. I'm very passionate when it comes to immigration. I have family that has to live with that fear every single day of their lives. And I hate seeing them in that situation. And maybe in a small way, I could help change that so they could live more comfortable and better lives, because they're not criminals and they're just here trying to make money like all of us are, because they want a better life like all of us do. So just keep in mind, if you watch these documentaries, learn, do your research past that, and just go out there and vote. I cannot stress that enough. Go out there and vote so we can put some candidates in there that will help think of a better immigration reform system that can keep the good people in and keep the bad people out. And yeah. So thank you guys for supporting my show. Thank you guys for supporting the immigration movement. If you do go vote, please vote something other than Donald Trump. Of course, do your research on who you're about to vote for. Ask the tough questions. What are their views on immigration? What are their views on healthcare? And, that's the only thing as part of this community that we can do to make it better is to put smart, motivated, kind, and forward thinking candidates so we could help the disenfranchised, the immigrants, the immigrants and people who don't have a say on things that clearly affect their lives in a great way. So go out there and vote for people who can stand up for the little guy, I guess you could say. And you know, this isn't going to be the last time I talk about immigration. And I thought I was done, but clearly there's a lot of awareness that you have to put out there, and I will be that for that community. I will talk about immigration as much as I can, anywhere I can, to whoever I can. So if you haven't yet, make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe. And as always, thank you guys for supporting this podcast. And that's the show for today. So thanks for checking me out.